Hi everyone, it's Wise Terry here. Today we are going to talk about video games, of course, as usually. But today we are going to talk about are video games mainly made for adults? By an adult, I mean someone who is basically, let's say, 18 plus years of age. If I'm not talking about an adult, then I mean someone who is below that, and let's say it's someone who is underage, just to keep this video more simple. I understand someone may consider the age a bit differently, what they consider to be an adult or whatever, what they consider a suitable age for a certain type of games and so on. But that's not the point of this video to discuss about age specifically. So just in general, many people do consider 18 plus to be an adult. So let's go with that. So to start this off, I'm 35 years of age. And about 20 years ago, when I was much younger, when video games were still not so common, not like nowadays, then many adults considered video games to be for kids. Many thought it's something that meant for kids and not for adults. And over the years, I think there has been a shift. I think nowadays actually most video games are made for adults. And I think it's mainly because of financial reasons, but also because it's much less restrictive how you can make a video game. You have to consider many less things when you make games for adults. Making games for adults can just give the game companies much more freedom. They can be more creative and they have less restrictions of what they can add in a game. So, some examples what restrictions they may have if they want to make games for kids are, let's say, violence, killing, sexualized characters, some type of horror maybe, bad language, and using potentially harmful or maybe even illegal substances and so on. And if they would make games for underage people, then most of that stuff wouldn't be okay to have in a game. Because most of such things are not okay to show to underage people, then it's just no good to target them right. It just takes away lots of possibilities, lots of options what you can add in a game. And just because you have to consider many more things, then it would make it maybe just a bit more difficult to come up with some stuff to add in a game because too many restrictions. And in many cases, it can maybe even make game a bit boring if there are no such things in a game, and it wouldn't sell well. So why boring? I think boring, for example, because many people want to play games to do some things that they cannot do or experience in real life. Of course, in games it might be a bit less realistic or whatever, but still it can be maybe fun or an interesting experience to do something that normally you wouldn't do in real life. I'm not saying people want to do all those things in real life necessarily, but still it's an interesting experience maybe to do something like this that you are not normally allowed to do in real life. And I think that's one of the main reasons why it is good to have such things in a game. And because game companies mainly want to sell for adults, it only makes sense to add such things into games that are less restrictive, but yeah, not maybe so suitable for underage people. And because adults have money, usually, I mean, adults are going to work, they are making their money, and they have something to spend, but underage people typically don't have such income. Of course, they can maybe get pocket money from their parents, or some start making money a bit earlier, but despite that, just in general, adults tend to have more money for sure. At least the majority of them should have an income, unlike underage people. And as I mentioned before, there are many restrictions for underage people, and of course, there are many reasonable reasons why such restrictions exist. Because underage people in general tend to be more emotional, less mature, they're still developing, they have higher chance to develop, I guess, aggressive behavior, to have some toxic habits, and to get addicted. Also, there are financial reasons, and if they do have their pocket money, it maybe wouldn't be a good idea to spend it all on virtual stuff that doesn't benefit them long term. It's not that the people who are underage never experience anything, it's not that they never see anything, but it's just not something that's good to show them constantly. It's not something that's good to advertise to them, to have them believe that this is normality. Also, one big reason why the target audience is adults is because there are so many lonely adults nowadays. And there are definitely many reasons why people are lonely, but yeah, typically it's men, and that's one of the reasons why there are so many sexualized characters in games, especially gacha games and so on. Female characters just keep getting bigger and bigger, and yeah, many other sexualized stuff in games, and it seems to sell very well. And game companies are making crazy amount of money on such things by selling characters, selling skins, and so on. And while it's all virtual, it seems to work. I mean, people seem to be satisfied with virtual girlfriends or whatever, I guess. And in a way, it's of course bad. It creates more lonely people, I guess. But at the same time, there are many lonely people to begin with. So it makes sense to target them, I guess, again, from business perspective. These are the reasons that I can think of why many game companies want to target adults. As I mentioned, less restrictions, but definitely much more income. So for this reason, there is no reason to think nowadays anymore that games are for kids. That's about it for today. Let me know, what do you think about it? What's your perspective about the situation? See you. Take care. Bye.